Basically, there was a manager that got fired for making out with two hosts.
I mean, if you're going to get fired, okay, so we have a lot of drunk on the job stories of our managers. Did you have a lot of people working in the kitchen with sharp knives and fire and hot oils that were drunk?
Myself.
I didn't expect that to go there, but okay.
I was literally like, let me tell you a secret about chefs.
Hi, and thank you so much for tuning into the In Hospitality Podcast. I'm Tye Justice.
I'm Simba.
And we are the podcast that talks about everything having to do with the world of hospitality by those who make it happen. And today we're going to start out at the water cooler talking about, well, let's start out with your water cooler.
Basically, there was a manager that got fired for making out with two hosts.
I mean, if you're going to get fired, you know.
Yeah, you might as well go out with the bang, right? Like,
quite literally.
There was a game that we used to play at the host stand. Which manager would you know? So
Yeah, I think we get it.
did you got it? Okay. So they were like, one of the girls was like, "Oh, I would totally do blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And she's like, "Yeah, actually, I feel like we kind of like have a thing." And we were like, "Oh, really? Haha," like eating up the tea, like, "Oh, she has a thing with one of the managers." So she goes away, and one of the other girls is like, "I kind of like him too, but don't tell her. Don't tell her." I'm like, kind of seems like I'm gonna tell her. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. Actually, me and the other girl, we were smoking after work one day, and I was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know that we'll call her Stephanie. Stephanie also likes the manager." And she was like, yeah. Like, she wasn't worried. She wasn't, like, threatened, nothing like that. So she was like, yeah, she's like, whatever. Like,
She was confident in her hoeing ability.
She was confident that she had that bag secured, all right?
Okay.
So later down the road, the host that had the thing with the manager comes to her last day, and she is kind of like, "Hey, I kind of said something to him, and I told him to hit me up, like, after, like, after today so we can meet up and stuff." And I was like, "No way." And she's like, "Yeah, he said he wants to talk to me, like." And I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "But wait for me after work so we can, like," that's what we did. That was our thing. So
read scripture is what she means.
we read the Bible together.
Smoking them pages.
So then she comes in, and I'm like waiting in the back of the host stand, and the other host that actually also liked the manager was working that night too, and she came down and caught me waiting for the other girl, and she's like, "Oh, you guys are gonna hang out without me, like, that's f***ed up." And I was like, and then the other girl obviously caught on, and she was like, "Why don't you two go out and grab the car, and I'll meet you out back." I'm like, all right, we'll meet you out back. So me and the other girl, the one that also liked him, but was like, "Don't tell her," we went out and go get her car, and we go out back, and as we're driving out back, she's like, "Yo, I would totally f*** him, but don't tell her. I'm like, why do you keep putting me in this position? Like, this is crazy. So I was like, whatever. So we're out back, and the other girl gets out, and she comes into the car so we can all together
Read scripture.
Yeah, read scripture together.
Yeah. The Holy Three.
The Holy Three, right? Like, so we're in there, and the other host pops in, and she's like, "Guys, I just made out with him," the manager. And we're like, "Shut up." And she's like, "Shut up." The other girl, she's like, "No way." And I'm like, yes. Yes. Because I was like, felt so awkward because this other girl was like, "Hey, I like him too." But I'm like, yo, like, they have totally had that thing going on, and you're over here trying to, like, get into the mix. So I was like, oh. And I was like so happy because, like, okay, she just like established her territory. Like, she was just kind of like, I just made out with him, right?
Well, that's not the end of the story, though.
It's not the end of the story.
It gets better.
So we're sitting there, and they bring up some guy who's like some bodybuilder. I don't even know who it is. And I was like, "Who the is that?" And they're like, "Let me show you a photo." And the girl who had originally was like, "Oh, don't tell her." The "don't tell her" girl. She was like, "I'll look it up on my phone." So she looks it up and she's like, this is the guy. And as she's showing me like who the guy is, I see a text from the manager on her phone that says, oh my God, no way, who told you that? Meaning that after the other host got in here and said I just made out with him, that she texted him and was like, you just made out with blah, blah, blah. Like, so I was like, and I like gave her phone back and I was like,
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So I pulled out my phone and I'm like to the other girl, I'm like, she just told the manager that you told her that. And she was like, the other girl gets the message. She's like, Cinda, what the does this mean? And I was
No.
I was like, what? And she's like, what the fuck does this mean? And I was like, what the message says. That's what it means.
How does the tale go? 3 men can keep a secret if 2 of the men are dead.
Yes. Yes. So she goes ahead and she's like, you know what? Actually, I gotta get out of the car. I gotta go. Like the girl in the back, right? The one that was like, had established she had this thing with the manager, blah, blah, blah.
But hadn't made out with him yet.
Hadn't made out with him. They were just like very flirtatious, right?
Right.
And she was like, but she like told all of us, right? Like, I don't know, it's like a girl code thing. Like, no.
Sure. Like, is
sure.
that like girl math?
That's the girlies who are listening. Like if someone is like, oh, me and blah, blah, blah have a thing, and then another girl goes behind her back and is like, don't tell her. It's a little snaky. Instead of just being upfront and being like, oh, hey, like we kind of like had a thing too. You know, I'm just saying, like, if you threw that out there in the beginning, it wouldn't have blown up the way it was.
Right. So I'm dying inside. What? The girl that had to get out of the car. Okay. What did she go do?
She goes. So she was like, am I going to take you to the car? Or is blah, blah, blah going to take you to the car? And I was like, oh, she's like, you're already in my car. I'll take you. And I was like, I got out of the car. I was like, I'm gonna have blah 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 take me, okay? Like, and so I get out of the car, and I think she already knows what's going down because I'm like, girl, you know what's going down. And she was like, what the f- did that text message mean? What are you saying? And I was like, she texted him and told him what you just told us. And she's like, shut the f- up. She's like, why didn't you say it in the car? I was like, I texted you it. Like I told you what was happening. And then she was like, oh my God. And so then she texts her and she's like, I know that you already told him, blah blah blah. Like, she's like, that's fucked up. She was like, why would you run and tell him right away? She was just kind of like, you already knew like I had a thing for him and blah blah blah. And she's like, I gotta tell you something. And we're like sitting there like,
There's
more. Like, what is it? And she's like, I f***ed him last Thursday.
Oh, God.
So the girl had already gotten to him, and then the other girl was like, whatever. It was just a big mess between them two. So the other girl was pissed, the one that had just made out with him. And
Right.
And the other girl was like, and I literally made out with him in the penthouse before he came down and made out with you.
Wow.
So I was like, holy f***, this whole thing is unfolding. So the other girl is pissed off, so she calls HR.
Oh, wait a minute. The one that slept with him on Thursday.
She did not call. The other girl
The
called.
new girl. Oh, my God.
The other girl called.
Damn.
So,
HR. Oh, my, nobody's friend. Oh, my God.
yeah, she called him the f*** in, and then I remember coming into work the next day because she texted that manager, and she was like, send us all the text message, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, like, oh my God, she threw the thing into the manager. I remember coming in the next day and he was like, hey, I gotta talk to you.
Jeez.
I was like, I gotta actually go use the bathroom right now. He's like, don't run away from me. And I like ran. There's like a stairway that goes all the way to the 3rd floor. I ran all the way up them stairs into the female bathroom. I was like sweating it. I was like, oh my God. I was like probably 19 years old at the time. Like, what am I gonna do? So
Cinda is not good under secretive pressure. I'm going to say that. I love the girl, but you blurted out when there's somebody's surprise birthday party was in the back.
all of a sudden I hear over the thing, the manager's name, please come to the penthouse office.
Oh, Lord. They called you over the loudspeaker?
No, him.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Manager. Never saw him after that.
Oh, you didn't even get to do that. Oh, they caught him before.
He was done. Never saw him after that.
Well,
So the game, after hearing all of that story that I want to play, is what did he go home and tell his wife?
He was married. He was married. Oh my God. Yeah, that's one for the ages.
Ever since that manager, we got cameras in all of our closets.
Really?
Yes. We did not have cameras there ever since that incident. Boom, placed in there.
Jeez, that's wild.
I'll let you know too, like this manager looked like a albino Slim Jim. Like I didn't get it. I couldn't get it. I was like not putting the pieces together. I was like the two girls that he bagged, outstanding. Like out like tens. They both were f***ing tens. So why they fighting over albino Slim Jim is beyond me. Like that's beyond me.
I guess it's the lust for power and having somebody
what I
that's in
think.
power. Was he middle management or was he manager?
No, he was the lowest of the management that the management could get.
Wow, that says something about somebody's confidence.
Oh,
My God,
shit.
that's hilarious. But don't. I'm gonna say this: don't f- your subordinates, folks. I'm
Don't
just
shit where
saying.
you eat.
That's it. That's a big one. Now, usually we have a segment of anonymous insiders, and today we were lucky enough to commandeer a guest that's actually going to be an non-anonymous insider. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce to the audience Chef Freddy.
Hey guys,
Hey,
good morning.
welcome. Thank you so much for being with us. And I want to start off by asking you how you got to be a chef. What got you into the culinary arts?
Man, this was a long time ago. I started as a dishwasher. I honestly thought my life was over because, who wants to be a dishwasher at 19? But then, at the place I was at, I saw these great dishes that the chefs were popping out. And I fell in love with it, and slowly, little by little, I got myself into, the cooking and the prepping and all that stuff. Then I went to culinary school and, I graduated within a year and a half. And, I got my shot and, the rest is history.
Yeah, because we all met at the Hollywood property. So you were already working in hotels. I thought you were one of the head chefs because, you always knew your way around. Everybody loved you.
Yeah.
You wore the black coat.
You wore the black coat,
The black
which is
and the
the
white.
professional. Yeah, man. It's like for chefs, that's like what a priest would wear. It's like the priest's smock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's very serious.
Were you a sous chef?
No, I wanted to be a sous chef, but I got shot down so many times, even though I had the potential to be.
Did they give you a reason why?
They just said I just wasn't ready.
How long had you been there? How long did you work at the Hollywood property?
I was there for 8 years.
8 years. Do you have any theories as to why that was? Why you think they didn't let you promote to sous chef?
I don't know. I think it was maybe politics, racism.
Did you feel that? Did you get that from other people that worked there, that there was that hint of racism at the Hollywood property?
Yeah, and even my current chef, well, at that time, he was racially profiling me. And, he was of the Latino race.
Being racial. Now, what do you mean racially profiled? Can you say how he was doing it?
It was just, I don't know, I guess he just didn't like me, and he was of the Mexican descent and me being from Central America and stuff. I think we're supposed to help one another,
Yeah.
But I don't know, it was just, I think he was just hating.
Okay, so we have a lot of drunk on the job stories of our managers. Did you have a lot of people working in the kitchen with sharp knives and fire and hot oils that were drunk?
Myself.
I didn't expect that to go there, but okay.
I was literally like, let me tell you a secret about chefs.
I know. No, we'll let him do it.
No, I mean, honestly, personally with me, like, I gotta take a shot of like whiskey before starting my job, just to get, the wheels going.
Yeah, that's not anymore. That's just at the Hollywood property you were at. I talked to people at the bar by the pool, because the pool is a very happening place over there. And same thing, there were people there for 20 years that had been bartending for 20 years there. And just to get through their day, they had to drink. They had to take a shot before their shift because it was the only way they could really get through it. It was such a profitable for them, but miserable experience at the same time. What were your experiences in the kitchen, like in terms of fulfillment or just frustration?
It was a mixture of a bunch of emotions. It was fun. It was exciting. It was frustrating at times, but I got through it.
Was there a certain point where you realized, like, I got to get out of here?
Multiple times, but the last month, I just couldn't take it anymore. I went onto social media. I, posted some pictures and stuff like that.
Look, you were
Funny.
probably vindicated. It felt like you were being vindicated because they would cover up a lot of bad shit. a lot of things that they shouldn't have. And that was just from our experience. And I'm sure in the kitchen where, there's certain regulations, I'm sure they try to cover up a lot of other stuff.
I don't know if I want to know what they covered up in the kitchen.
Oh, I want to know.
Yeah, well, there was this time where a Latino dude was arguing with a African American dude, and they were telling each other like, "Oh my God, like I've never heard anything before,"
Really?
And then the dishwasher, he gets into it, like he's the third party, and me being the manager, I was like, "Hey, you guys gotta cut it out. You guys gotta cut it out." So it got so extreme that I had to tell my chef, I was like, "Hey, this is what went down. You got to talk to both of them."
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, I'll talk to him. And 3 weeks later, I was like, "Hey, did you figure out the situation, the solution?" They're like, "Oh no, I forgot. I haven't talked to him. I got to talk to him." I was like, "It's over.
Yeah.
Just forget about it."
They never really handled a lot of conflict well, or basically at all there. We just wouldn't say anything. We wouldn't say anything after a while. We just handled it on our own because, like you said, he's like, "Oh, well, I'll do it." And 3 weeks later, "No, I'll do it." Like, you're never going to do it. I finally got to tell the GM what needed to be done at the front desk. And because they had an annual HR meeting, we've talked about this before. I finally, because I used to white knuckle it to work, just talking to myself about what I want. Not even, like I said, telling him off, but telling him what needed just to be done for things to run smoothly. Finally got to do it. And everybody was like, "Yeah, you're good for you." And they're like, "Nothing's going to change." I go, "I know, but at least I got it off my chest." And that was, it's interesting that it did echo through the other departments as well, because nothing changed. Nothing changed there until we started this show and he started kicking up a fuss and resigned. And that was a big thing we all started talking about because we all quit. We all gave our notice and we left. None of us were fired.
I
That's
gave my
the thing.
immediate notice.
I don't think you ever talked about yours. That was kind of interesting because I heard some rumors of how you did yours. I don't think we went into detail about it.
Yeah. I literally sent it in maybe 2 minutes before my shift. And I was like, effective today, I am no longer working at the hotel, blah, blah, blah. And then I posted the SpongeBob meme, I'm a head out. I was like, we all know how this, I also was like, we all know how this shit is working around here. Come on, I just... They were too much. I was like, they be coming for our money too much. So I was like, I'm done. Immediate resignation. I didn't want to give them no heads up, no nothing. I'm not planning on going back there. So I was like,
no, burn them bridges, burn them good.
Like, if I burn that bridge, I burn that bridge. But I was like, no, done, not coming back. And then I'm gonna head out, yo. It's time for me to head out.
Yep. Did you give your 2 weeks?
No, I got sent out to HR after the whole picture thing.
Oh.
And then I just walked out. I was like, "Nope, I'm walking out. Bye, guys."
Good for
and
you.
Then a couple of days later, everybody was blowing up my phone. So what I did, I just got off social media. I turned off my phone, and I went on a hike. I went on a hike a couple of days later just to refresh my mind.
Yeah.
And I turned on my phone, and I had I kid you not, I had about 50 missed calls. Wow. And over 200 text messages like, "Hey, are you gonna come back? Are you gonna come back?" And I was like, I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so. I think if I go back, it's just taking a shower and putting your old clothes back on.
Yeah.
And I was like,
it's a good analogy.
I don't think I'm going back because it was just, the management was shitty. At some point, I saw them more than I saw my mom.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing too. What were your hours like, especially for events? Because they would put on last-minute massive events, and I can only imagine the hell that put you guys through.
Last minute.
Yeah, because we were always understaffed.
Yeah, and it was crazy because in the banquet department, we'd have those 10-day music. The film festivals.
Yeah, TCM.
All those.
Yeah.
And last minute, we have a party of 30. Can you get it set up by 6 o'clock? And in the banquet department, we're just scrambling and stuff like that.
There were some events that were overpopulated and overcrowded on purpose. There was one, I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a huge event where the Kardashians were there and a lot of celebrities were there. People were bending open the gates to sneak in and get through the hedges. And somebody actually had somebody had a gun.
The Gucci party.
Yeah, I worked that whole week. I remember it was
Oh my God.
That day it was crazy.
I checked the exits because I'm like, this is wild. It was all around the entire perimeter of the hotel. And I remember they were 5 or 6 people deep All emergency exits were blocked. If there was any fire or anything like that, the fire marshal actually came and shut us down. That's what happened to that party. They finally, somebody leaked something and they shut it down, or the fire department got wind of it. But it was very dangerous. And, all of us said the same thing. Like, the GM made a lot of money on the back end on this somehow.
That was $500,000 just for the rooms.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know for a fact because when I was working that day, we had a couple of rooms that were behind because people didn't do checkouts that day. And it was like 5:00 and they came up like trying to rip me a new asshole saying like I paid $500,000 and you're telling me that my rooms aren't ready.
And that's not even that's not even the major Hollywood penthouse. That was just like a suite, I'm sure.
No, it was for the pool.
Oh, one of the pool rooms?
It was for the Gucci party.
Damn, see. So
he came ripping me a new asshole because some of the rooms weren't ready, but they've been planning this party. Somebody should have been walking those rooms. $500,000.
No, that doesn't mean anything to them. You knew that. You're like
$500,000.
Like, oh my God.
$500,000.
That was wild. So what was that like for you guys in the kitchen?
It was crazy. It was crazy, but at the same time, it was fun.
Dude, I saw Macaulay Culkin, Brenda Song that day. Like, I saw so many celebrities that
I did too.
Like, and Macaulay Culkin was the coolest for me. I met his mom.
I heard that. I heard he was really nice.
He was so like I remember like because we had like made the keys already ready to go for them too. First of all, it was crazy. Like Brenda Song came, and I was like. Like my biggest regret is telling her like no running in my lobby. Like no, I wish I did. Like it was like one of those things where I'm like because like that's a childhood star, right? Like that's when you're a child, you're like and then she goes around the corner. I was like like what am I doing? What am I doing? And then Macaulay Culkin comes up and I hand him his pre-made keys. And he's like, "Wow, Mom, look at that. They wrote my name on here. Thank you guys. You guys are so sweet." And I was just like, to the face.
To the face.
To the face.
Then he would have just like, dropped expression and been like, this place. I'm out of here. No. He from all reports, you told me that, and everybody said he was just really sweet, which is nice to hear because working at that property, we all came across celebrities that were not so nice. But for the most part, everybody was kind of cool, which was nice. Most of the people that we like ran into or had interactions with were actually pretty down to earth.
You know the downstairs walk-ins, right?
The walk-in, yeah.
So I went through the side of the bistro, and there was like a gate. Mm-hmm. This is like 2-3 in the morning. And then from far away, I saw like the cases of the water bottles. They just go like that and they just fall. And I was the only one there. And I was like, oh my God. I went to security and I was like, security, pull up the footage. Sure enough, there was a camera right in front of the cases of the waters.
Yeah.
You just see a mist, and then you just see it go like that, boop, like it just falls. And I was like.
That's one thing we haven't talked about too much on this show is how the Hollywood property was known for being haunted.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of weird stuff that would happen.
I would always be like, that's not happening. That's not happening. It's not happening.
But it was.
Never again am I doing overnight. I did it for 2.5 years.
Oh my
shit.
God. 2.5 years.
Yeah.
That's, they say your body never gets used to that, no matter how well trained you are.
It was fun. I got to meet YG.
Oh,
overnight.
Yes.
That was pretty cool. And he walked out on his $300 tab and
God.
Stop.
No tip, no nothing?
According to the servers, but when he did tip pretty good. He gave me $50 one time.
Nice.
I was working overnight.
All right. Okay. So as long if you're screwing over the hotel, that's one thing. Just don't screw over the servers.
Yeah.
Like that's it. I remember a story of someone saying, I was a celebrity, he was saying that, if the mob ever comes to your restaurant, and it's the first time and they're big people, all you just, if they want to say, as a courtesy, you just say, look, I know, you guys, the meal's on me. I can't do it all the time, but as long as you take care of my servers, you're always welcome back. And we appreciate your business, and they'll really appreciate it. People really appreciate that. But no matter what, mobster to just some Joe off the street, as long as you take care of your servers, that's all everybody really cares about.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I always take care of the servers every time like I eat out at a restaurant and stuff like that because I know what they go through.
Yeah. Not saying skip your check, skip out of your check, but we're just saying if it's one or the other, take care of your people. So what did HR do after you walked out?
Well, they tried to get me in to, have a meeting type I basically was gonna get written up, but that's not what was gonna happen. You know, I was gonna get terminated regardless. So I was like,
Yeah.
man, I don't want to go there being escorted out by security. That's so embarrassing. I was like, no, I'd rather just take the easy way out and just not go. And then like a week later, they sent me like an envelope. And yeah, I just ripped it. I was like, I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of their game at certain points, because there, especially at that property, they were sort of about public humiliation when it came to a lot of rebellion, when they would try to squash rebellion. You know what I mean? And I think to escort you out would make you look less credible, no matter what you were going through. And I kind of think that was their game, to try and hold on to power over other people, And because if you walk out and you've been there for 8 years, you worked your butt off getting to where you were going, and all the work you put in there, if other people are like, man, he just walked out, we should do the same, that freaks them out. But they didn't, like you said, I think you're right. I think they would have just brought you in to terminate you and escort you out. I don't think they were going to write you up.
And when I was walking out, I ran into one of the securities, and I had this face like, don't talk to me. And then he was like, what's going on, Chef Freddy? And I was like, I just need to get out of here. Like I felt like I was gonna pass out. And then he was like, are you all right? You don't look good, you look pale. And I did look pale.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you know what, can you just walk me to the garage and just walk me to my car? Because if I see somebody that I don't like that's coming towards me, I'm just gonna knock his lights out.
Yeah.
See, it's because the audacity that the hotel has to come for you for some of this stuff. It's you have to, with me, you have to. Yeah,
and everything was about a simple little picture.
Yeah, like they take that little thing and then they make it this. They make it this.
Yeah, was it exposing the kitchen for something that they were hiding, or was something?
No, it was just I was at the pool and I took a selfie, and
they got you for a selfie at the pool?
Yeah, the chef was like, hey, put your phone away. You're not supposed to, record anything. I was like, dude, everybody does it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and they do. You're like, so Simba's like, they could have fired me a dozen times.
Hey, how about we go and we look at the MOD's phone and see what we find there?
Oh my God.
How many recordings we have there?
Jeez.
How many times they would go record shit and be like, this is what it looks like, guys.
So it wasn't even you exposing anything. It was just you taking a selfie by the pool.
Yeah, but I put a clown emoji on my executive chef's face. So.
But you were hiding his face.
You were protecting him.
You were protecting the identity.
He was doing his job.
You guys are the ones who took it wrong.
Oh my God. Had you had any infractions before that? Had you been written up for anything?
Yes, I did. I've gotten written up for, I wouldn't say being too aggressive, but I grew up in a culinary world where I work with French chefs. Those French chefs, they were very tough on me. Mm-hmm. And at one point, like I felt like walking out or going to the walk-in and start crying, but I manned up, and I tried to do that with a few of my coworkers, and they were very soft.
I would say crying in the walk-in is very normal. When you work in the kitchen, you have to have tough skin. Period. No way around it, because they do. Like if you mess something up, like no. You think you can serve that to someone? You can't serve that to someone. Throw it away, do it again.
Yeah, and then there was another time I got written up because there was this famous actor. He was at the burger establishment. I asked for a picture. We took a picture. A few days later, I get called down to HR, and then I got written up saying I was, disturbing his mealtime and stuff like that. And I was like, but everybody takes pictures.
Yeah.
There was a Mexican pop group that went to Maná.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
And then everybody from HR were taking pictures with that group.
Okay, that
was pretty lame.
That's hypocrisy.
Exactly.
So the HR was taking pictures with Maná with a group. I mean, but if you do it, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If they can do it, they have no business writing you up, taking you in, or even questioning you on it if the individual who took the picture with you isn't complaining.
Yeah.
If they're doing it, what makes them think they have the right to tell anybody else not to do it? That pisses me off.
Yeah, and when I was getting written up, and I was like, so a couple weeks ago that group came and everybody took a picture at HR. So are you gonna write them up too? And then she was like, no, it's 'cause it's different. I was like, or you're just writing me up because I'm a Latino and you're white. And then she was like, no, Freddie, we don't have to go that far. And I was like, apparently it already has.
Yeah.
You know, if you guys are writing me up for something very petty, then, you know, you guys should just do it to everybody else. But either way, I got the paper. I was like, you know what? I'm probably going to rip this as soon as I walk out of this office. So here, I wrote it, and then I walked out.
Wow.
I walked out of the office.
That's ballsy.
And then my executive chef, he was there. He was like, hey, Freddie, you have very tough skin, man. I was like, well, I have to defend myself. I'm not going to, you know, crouch and, you know, roll like an armadillo.
Do you think that because of all that and what you said, because they write everything down, do you think you had a target on your back by the time you just took that selfie? Because that selfie's innocent.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you for sure had to have had a target on your back for them to write you up for that.
Yeah, because at that time, my executive chef and myself, we were bumping heads, you know. I got him in his room, in his office. As soon as I go in there, it stunk like whiskey. Oh my God, it was like 7 a.m. I was like, dude. Yeah, he stunk. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, chef, just go home.
Wow.
Like, I'm telling you this as, you know, as a friend, as you know, a coworker, just go home. God forbid you fall, break your neck, or, you know,
cut yourself, cut somebody else,
Exactly.
burn somebody. There's a lot of hot things. I mean, you got to make things in massive amounts. Like, what if you drop hot oil on someone? He starts thinking like a prison movie. You know what I mean, or something like that. Like, you know, it's dangerous. Like at the front, we had drunk managers. We joke about that all the time, and we joke about it, but at the same time, we talk about how, because of hotel life, a lot of times, you know, I think it takes people that would drink casually and turns them into hardcore alcoholics. There's something that really pushes people in this industry. And, you know, but when you work in the kitchen, you're working around a lot of sharp things, fire. I mean, the most dangerous place in a hotel is probably the kitchen, you know, and you honestly, you know, if you're drunk, yeah, you can mess other people up. Forget you, you know, if you're a manager or upper management, but like, what about the people below you? That's a huge, huge liability. Once one manager passed by me that we both know, and I smelled a fifth of scotch, and he just walked into the front desk and walked past. He didn't even stop. And I went, the hell is that? And I turned around, and, you know, he smelled like a fifth of scotch, and he was known for drinking really bad. So when it comes to stuff like that, or if you notice somebody's hungover, messed up like that really bad, it's like, dude, you know, that's too much. You know what I mean? And it indicates a further problem. But when you're putting other people's safety in jeopardy, yeah, man, that's jacked up. The one thing about that property that they never, and I'll end on this, that they never really take into account is the quality of people they have. Because they have some really amazing quality individuals working there in every department that work hard, care about what they do, and love. And that's the thing, they love the property. We all work there. We love that one property, and a lot of people that work at their property, whatever property they may be, take personal pride in working there and making things the best that they could be, because it's a representation of themselves. And that property specifically, the Hollywood property we all worked at together, didn't do that. It took no consideration of the people that were busting their butts, you know, breaking their necks to you know, give the best product they could, whether that be the front desk, housekeeping, in the kitchen, room service, whatever it might be. It was extremely frustrating because a lot of those people were there for 10 plus years. You had people that worked there for a long, long time. But yeah, and it's unfortunate, but that's why some of the best employees would always quit, and now they're having problems with massive layoffs. So that's just another thing, and it's really a dumpster fire that's going down.
Yeah,
Well,
no, this past week.
I wonder if they're rebuilding.
I don't know if they're gonna, well, because they're a historic. I don't know if they're a landmark. I think.
No,
right?
no, not rebuild, but rebuilding their staff.
Internal infrastructure, maybe.
You know what I'm saying is like cutting them out. Maybe we can find some more reliable people.
Well, because what they've done, I've heard this too, is what they do is they fire people and then they rehire the position. Maybe they change the title slightly for less money. That's what they've done a lot. I know people in sales, they did that too. And they're just trying to cut corners by having mass layoffs and then slowly getting people back in. And hiring their positions that have been slightly augmented to sound different for much less money, which is really, really skeezy. But that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning into the In Hospitality podcast. I want to thank Chef Freddy for joining us today. He's always a welcomed guest. He's got a lot of stories, and hopefully we'll see him again. I'm Tye Justice.
I'm Simba.
Chef Freddy.
And we'll see you at check-in.